Good morning. I am H. Robert Silverstein, MD, for the Preventive Medicine Center and West Hartford Cable Access TV. Um, as you may or may not know, I'm a board-certified internist and a board-certified cardiologist at St. Francis Hospital. I have privileges at Hartford Hospital, where I took my senior test and I passed as, quote, above average. So that doesn't say I broke any records. In any case, I'm still hanging in there, seeing patients on a daily basis, Tuesday through Friday. That's not an advertisement. That's just a discussion to let you know what I'm doing. That's basically considered full-time practice. Doctors usually took 1 day a week off. I've chosen Monday off. And then I'm on call on nights and weekends periodically also. So bottom line is, enough about me. Let's get started with some of the ideas that I have in mind. Uh, let's see, a little bit of introductions. I have no economic relationship to what I'm about to show you. This is an OOFOS, OOFOS shoe, which I saw OOFOS sandals advertised on TV. And I was in need of a new pair of shoes. I was wearing Skechers at the time. So I went to REI to look, and they had these OOFOS sandals in there. They are the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn in my entire life. Now, I ordered the shoes, and I am having a little problem with that. One shoe fits one foot, but it doesn't fit the other foot. And yes, that happens as we get older. Things spread out at different rates and so on and so on. So bottom line is I'm trying to stretch my other shoe so I don't have to send it back. Enough of that about OOFOS. I strongly recommend them just from an experiential standpoint. Now, let's see. For those people who prefer to mask, this is a KN95. There is a new mask. I think it's called K94 or N94, and supposedly that's just as good or better. The regular blue masks, unless you wear two of them, are not really terribly effective. Masking is effective. Most of the studies that were done wrong. They just took people who said they were wearing masks and saw how often they got the coronavirus. And most people, many people don't wear the mask correctly. You need to wear it up to the bridge of the nose and under the chin, and then it needs to be pinched to see that it stays in place. If you don't do that, you're not effectively masking. On the other hand, personally, I consider it absurd that people are wearing masks outside. That just makes no sense at all. As a matter of fact, it's anti-scientific. If you're outside, don't wear a mask. I don't know what kind of virtue signaling that is. By the way, I used that phrase recently in some correspondence with a law professor who published an article in the New England Journal of Medicine, a major medical journal, and she didn't like it. C'est la vie, c'est la guerre. That means such is life, such is war. All right, next, I want to talk about this Tunisian organic extra virgin olive oil. I got this at Trader Joe's last year. I bought a whole bunch of it. I like that it was in cans because that was sort of the old-fashioned way of doing it. Glass bottles would be just as good, but Tunisia had a reputation for having higher quality olive oil, and in addition, this was unfiltered. And I thought that was an especially good idea. So not that you should be using much of this. You should be using very little oil. The foods with the highest fat content are oils, butter, and most cheeses. And then, of course, comes red meat. Red meat turns out to be a problem in particular because it also has a high iron content. And the iron sort of acts like a hot poker in the human body, unless, of course, you're in need of iron. Then the question is, why are you in need of iron? Because you should have enough. All right, I don't want to get carried away with that. This is from Trader Joe's. This is organic extra virgin olive oil spray, and that helps you use less. So you pop this off, and then you spray things in your pan, and you end up pouring in less oil. Now, I have some people who have patients who have tried this for sleep instead of sleeping pills. They take 2 or 3 of these. This is by the company Olly, O-L-L-Y. And this one was called Sleep. It contains L-theanine and botanicals, which I think was chamomile. See, I don't know what else it contains. But I looked at the ingredients and thought that it was decent. And this is, if you are having trouble sleeping and need something relatively benign, I think that this would be a good idea instead of going to Ativan, lorazepam, or Klonopin, clonazepam, or Ambien, zolpidem, or Lunesta. I forget what the trade name, the generic name for Lunesta is. Enough of that. Most of my patients take vitamin D. The dose that I recommend for most of my patients is 5,000 units 5 days a week. It's not a question of the proper dose, it's whether or not you've achieved the proper blood level. And the proper blood level in the laboratories around here is 50 to 66. 50 to 66. That's nanograms per milliliter. So 400, 1,000, okay. Now, many medical groups don't really agree with that kind of dose or that level. The Endocrine Society does agree with that, and who would know more about vitamin D metabolism than the endocrinologist? I had a bit of a tussle with a full professor at Harvard about this very idea. And of course, she thinks she won in our debate, and I think I won in our debate. But the bottom line is, I'm sitting here in West Hartford on cable access TV telling you that most of my patients safely take 5,000 units of vitamin D3 5 days a week. So do as you will, check with your physician. I'm not recommending that. I'm telling you what I do in my practice. Many of my patients take magnesium. This is chelated magnesium. There's one from Country Life that is quite good. This is a capsule. The capsules seem to go down easier than the caplets or pills or whatever they are. People need anywhere from 1 to 4 of these a day, and that's primarily because of diet. The proper diet that does not cause high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglyceride, diabetes, cancer of the breast, uterus, colon, prostate, diverticulosis, constipation, much arthritis, and even improves depression and anxiety. You've heard me say it a gazillion times. It's the one size fits all because it is what is correct for the human body. The human body, whether you and I like it or not, is essentially means not absolutely, is essentially vegan vegetarian. Now, what about the wonderful taste of pizza, and French fries, and potato chips, and a T-bone steak, or a porterhouse, or a cowboy steak, or Australian lamb, New Zealand lamb chops, or fish, shrimp, lobster? Well, those things, frankly, taste better. And while it sounds a little bit mean, when people tell me that they like those things, I also point out they'd probably like heroin or cocaine if they tried those. I don't think I'm recommending heroin or cocaine. What I'm saying is what you like has nothing to do with what you're supposed to do. And the human body essentially does not have fangs or claws, cannot digest rotten meat, does not have the scissors action jaw of carnivores. Our jaw comes down to grind like horses, cows, chimpanzees, and gorillas. We have an enzyme for digesting plant food, where food first enters the human body, and there's a whole list of et ceteras that says the human body is essentially vegan vegetarian. Now, Wonder Bread and Dunkin' Donuts are vegan vegetarian. Do I recommend those? Key word here, two words that I want to teach. One is unprocessed. The real word that I start with is field. Foods exactly as they grow up out of the ground and in the field. Then I start pointing out, for instance, like that's the difference between brown rice and white rice. Brown rice grows up in the field. White rice does not grow up in the field because white rice is polished brown rice. But you need that brown part of the brown rice. I think it's high in vitamin B1, et cetera, and prevents the disease beriberi. But the bottom line is you always need, ideally, the unprocessed whole food. So hulled barley. Most of the barley that you see in stores is pearl barley. Gladiators who were massively muscular were called barley men. The word burly, which means big and husky, comes from the word barley. So what I'm saying is you can be perfectly athletic. In my office, I have a picture up on a bulletin board, picture of two men who are ultra marathoners. They can run 100 miles without stopping. They are both vegan vegetarian. Now, they may take some supplements like supplemental hemp powder, which is my pick of the litter if you want to add some protein to a shake for the morning. Don't add ice. Add your cool berries, not your frozen berries, your cool berries, and if you want, Olivia's spring mix. Or I like the salad preparations from Trader Joe's. And I have to complain, I personally think the prices are way too high at Whole Foods, but I congratulate Whole Foods for having a much wider variety to choose from. I like the mushrooms at Big Y, which is convenient to me. So I don't shop at Stop and Shop very often. If you want a discount on your medications, you can go to GoodRx and then go to ShopRite. Now, ShopRite is a big store around here. It's over on Prospect or New Park. I'm not sure which one it is. They're sort of the same. So the ShopRite is where, if you go to GoodRx, you can find out what the cash pay price for your medicine is, and it's often much cheaper than the copay that you pay using your insurance. So, and there are other of those kinds of cards that are equivalent to GoodRx. And you go there and you put in your medication, the name, and then you have to choose the dose and the number, how many you want. For a patient recently, I did tamsulosin, which is Flomax for enlarged prostate. And I wanted for that patient 200, 180, and went to GoodRx, put in the number 180, and it was like $8 cash pay for 180 capsules of Flomax tamsulosin for their enlarged prostate. So that was really pretty good. So I suggest that you check out GoodRx or the other pharmacy cards. Now, there is a new pharmacy called Blueback Pharmacy down in Blueback Square. I met the owner or manager just the other night, and he was quite a nice and comforting kind of person. I think you'll get personalized service at the Blueback RX that you may not get anywhere else. So I would encourage you to at least try it, and you can discuss with him the payment method and so on. Now, so chelated magnesium, 1 to 4 a day. If you have kidney problems, you cannot take much magnesium. It's good for leg cramps. It helps relax you. And in my estimation, it reduces the risk for developing diabetes. Change the subject, keep it the same. a new diabetes medication is on the market that is breakthrough. And when I say breakthrough, the way I just said breakthrough, I mean it is really important. It can help many people with type 2 diabetes. It's a once a week injection. It can help many people with diabetes get off all their other medications and even reduce their insulin, if they are a type 1 diabetic. So Mounjaro is a cousin of Trulicity and Ozempic. Up to this point, I had preferred Ozempic. Now, I'm not sure what the co-pays and the costs are going to be, but this, actually, I said Mounjaro. It's Mounjaro, Mounjaro, a once-a-week injection. It's a GLP, GIP 1 inhibiting medication, and it has a profound effect. It's also very helpful in helping people lose weight. So they're using it at weight loss clinics to help people lose weight. Now, my position on medications is, here's my big quote: all drugs are poison, including the ones I prescribe, including vitamins, minerals, herbs, and supplements. Be well, use as few as possible. So that is a true statement. On the other hand, if you come to the emergency room with pain in the right lower abdomen, and it pretty much looks like you've got appendicitis, do you want me to call the acupuncturist or the surgeon? There is a time and a place for everything. My position is most conditions can be prevented. The way I say it is this, is most conditions are made to happen. They can be made to unhappen. And even if you can't make them completely unhappen, you can often stabilize them where they are so that they're not really any important issue. For instance, if you had kidney dysfunction, where you were, say, 10% below the lower limit of normal, that can really be stabilized very much with a combination of medication, diet change, exercise, and so on. By the way, I have been remiss in discussing exercise. The whole thing about weight loss and health and so on involves not smoking, limiting alcohol to 4 drinks a week or less, limiting coffee to 1, maybe 2 cups a day on some days, and drinking green tea or white tea. What I usually do is I have 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and then after that, I leave some of the coffee in the bottom and I throw in 1 white tea bag. I get Emperor's white tea bag, Emperor's white tea at Whole Foods. It comes in a neat little can and nice little tea bags, and I'll put 1 of those. You get 50 in that little can, stores nicely. So I'll put 1 green tea bag. I get my green tea at Trader Joe's. They have green tea and white tea. They have organic green tea. And for some reason, I can't imagine that there are that many chemicals used in the raising of tea. So I buy regular green tea and I don't pay for organic green tea. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. I should ask somebody who knows. So green tea plus white tea after 1 cup of coffee, and I pour in the hot water, and then I drink. I get a little bit of the taste of the coffee, and I get mostly of the taste. When I use 2 bags of either green tea or 2 bags of white tea instead, and that was the taste is bizarre, and I don't like it. So it becomes benign to have 1 bag of green tea, 1 bag of white tea, and that's that. Now, if your diet were, so to speak, brown rice, vegetables, beans, fruit, nuts, and seeds, your magnesium would be 2.1 or higher. Remember, I talked about the vitamin D level. The proper vitamin D level is 50 to 66. So I say that, Lawrence, I'll give you a call back. I'm doing my TV show. That is the smartest psychiatrist around here. Unfortunately, Larry Goldstein has retired. Fortunately for him, he's out of the mess. He's comfortable doing his thing. He exercises a great deal. He was always a tremendous exercise athlete, very, very bright fellow, and a superb psychiatrist. As a matter of fact, one of the high-end people at Hartford Hospital said of Larry Goldstein that he was a legend at Hartford Hospital, and that is the truth. He was just remarkable in his practice. So enough about Larry Goldstein. Now I want to get back to exercise. Hang on a second. This is a neoprene covered hand weight. It is a 5-pound hand weight. The reason I mention the neoprene and this particular weight is because it feels good in your hand. The standard weights have a cold feel to them. And in addition, the cross-connecting bar tends not to be quite as thick and comfortable in your hand. Now, to each his own. Get whatever weight you want. I read an article that I skimmed an article that talked about exercise. And what it basically said, the best exercise was Nordic walking. Well, Nordic walking is like cross-country skiing. You're walking and you're using your sticks, one in front of you and then another in front of you. Well, what is the concept there? Think about it. It's the combination of arms and legs at the same time. You can mimic that by putting this in your hand and simply doing the cross-country ski action as you walk through your house. Now, it'd be better if you walked outside. This is a 5-pound weight. That would get pretty heavy pretty quick. So I recommend a 2 or 3-pound weight if you're going to walk outside with the neoprene covering. Neoprene. And as you get older, resistance training becomes more important than aerobic training. Hang on, I'm going to check my time. Okay, we're doing good. And so breathing, drinking, eating, exercise, and then unrealistic expectations. Much of anxiety and depression has to do with not accepting the difficulties and realities. Usually I say something a little off color about bad things happening, depending upon who is sitting there with me in the office. But bad things happen and they're not unexpected. So you have to have the humility and courage to deal with them as best possible. I've been through some tough times, as has everybody else, and perseverance turns out to be everything. So if you want to fight off the anxiety and the depression, you have to realize that what is happening to you is not unexpected in the history of the human race, and that you just have to figure out how to deal with it as best possible and accept it. It is the lack of acceptance of the difficulties of life that leads to anxiety. Now, people talk about panic attacks being sudden whatevers that come over them. There are good ways to deal with panic attacks and get them under control. I do believe in cognitive behavioral therapy. And if Larry Goldstein were still practicing psychiatry, I would send you to him because he was just superb at dealing with all of these psychiatric issues. I'm not sure that the civilian population can get onto a couple of medical websites, but if you have the interest, try to get, and the ability, try to get onto Medscape, Medscape, and also MedPage Today. At times they're a little bit woke, but in general, they are two wonderful, wonderful websites. A third one is MD Links, Linx. Medscape, MedPage Today, MD Links. Next, I want to talk about crime is up 38% in New York City. I have the distinct feeling that crime is much increased here in West Hartford, and the West Hartford managerial staff meaning the mayor and crew are not doing what they need to do to make it uncomfortable for people who would be criminals. So that's a heads up and request for people to begin to talk to the mayor, if necessary, complain to the mayor that we need greater safety in our environment. Now, don't pick on the people who are doing what some minor whatever, the people who parked in the wrong place or may have gone the wrong direction for a portion of a street. Now they're driving down the wrong side of the street and on and on and on. That is a major problem. But you get a feeling that certain people are prosecuted heavily and others are spared. And that is the trend in New York City and other woke cities. Now let's see, going on. Cannabis use. Cannabis use is becoming a problem. I have been opposed to legalizing it. I'm not sure about legalizing it, but I think it needs infinitely more controls. And I think that the legalization of cannabis, the way it has been, is going to make many more problems than it's going to solve. CRT training in our schools. Nobody should be made to feel bad. No white student should be made to feel bad that they are white. It's okay to point out that other people have had it rough and tough and to support them. But the fact of the matter is there's nothing wrong with being white. There is nothing wrong with being white. And this whole concept of privilege, that's just an insult to people to hurt their feelings and make them feel guilty. Stop it with that. Black Lives Matter is an avowed Marxist organization. Marxism is intent on destroying the family relationship and is for state and government control rather than the individual right to be all you can be. That saying of the Army, be all you can be. When there was a recent shooting of a black man into a black woman's home, and the police shot the man who was shooting into this woman's home, and then the Black Lives Matter organization, now that's not here in West Hartford, it happened somewhere else, went and protested that the police shot the man. He was trying to kill that mother and her children, and it is ridiculous because they weren't interested in her rights. They were only interested in the rights of the man who had a gun and was shooting. By the way, the recent event in Wisconsin where the armed citizen, the Good Samaritan, helped out, I think it is reasonable. I discuss guns with my patients. I don't discourage that. I think crime has increased to the point that people should think about their own security and safety. And if they want to consider a weapon, then I support that. 9 million illegal immigrants will have come across the southern border under the Biden administration. 9 million illegal immigrants will have come across the southern border during the Biden administration by the time it is up in 2024. I think that needs to be addressed, and I think that is absurd that that border is so porous because it is also bringing in sexual slavery. Let me repeat that, sexual slavery and fentanyl. Okay, last discussion, Mounjaro, think about it. It'll make a huge difference in your care. Once a week injection, you can get rid of many pills and it'll improve your outlook, help you with your weight loss. Good day and God bless you all. I am H. Robert Silverstein, MD, for the Preventive Medicine Center in West Hartford Cable Access TV. Thank you.